Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome to my very first sealed event of the Wilds of Eldraine format. This is being recorded during the Wilds of Eldraine streamer event, so thanks to Wizards of the Coast for the promotional early access account. If you're looking to play the set yourself, pre-release events at local game stores start tomorrow, with the full arena launch coming out on Tuesday. Without further ado, let's bust open these packs and see what we get to build with today. And as always, as it is my first event of the brand new format, this will be an unedited video just to get that content out to you all as quickly as possible. So keep that in mind. If there is a little bit of dead air in between future rounds, just make sure to skip ahead in the video. But we've got some sweet rares here, and one of the really cool things that you can see is that there is a extra card slot in this pack, much like March the Machine, but instead of getting an extra legend in every pack, we're getting an extra enchantment that is a reprint of a classic or powerful enchantment from the past. So we have Goblin Bombardment and Nature's Will. We have additional rares, not just the 6 that you would normally get from opening 6 packs. The other thing to note about this is Arena has finally updated the sealed pool like pack opener screen. It used to be that it would just show you your first 6 rares and then it would say plus 2 more were opened, but now it actually shows all 8 of the rares that we managed to open by getting some of these special enchantment rares, so that's pretty sweet as well. Anyways, let's go over these cards, see if there's anything we really want to try to build around, but I'm probably going to go pretty quick for my first deck building, my first sealed event of the format, because I want to get into the gameplay as quickly as possible and try to see what all the cards are going to be coming from our opponents, what kind of decks and archetypes everybody's going to be running with. It should be pretty cool. So quick cursory look over our rares. Nature's Will seems a bit too narrow for draft. Yeah, if you can constantly deal damage to your opponent, then you can get that extra mana out of it, but if you're already constantly dealing damage to your opponent, you're probably already in a good spot. The Iron Crag does seem pretty good, a 2-mana mana rock that later in the game can potentially become a nice little equipment, is pretty good, because you want the mana rock early game, but then later when you don't want the mana anymore, you may turn this into an equipment, as long as you're playing Legendary, so that's pretty spicy, pretty fancy. Restless Cottage is pretty self-explanatory here. We'll play it if we're trying to play green-black. It's a nice man land, turning our land into a 4/4 horror. Start beating down with that. Goblin Bombardment has some pretty cool synergies in this format. There's a lot of rats token production. Those are these little 1/1 black rats that can't block, so they're not great at doing a lot, but they would be great at getting sacrificed to a Goblin Bombardment, turning all of your rats into little removal spells, so we get to call it our own little rat bombardment in this format. Decadent Dragon looks like it'll probably be the strongest rare that we've opened up. It's a very nice card draw off of the adventure and just a really good creature. 4-mana 4/4 flying trample that spits out treasures as it attacks. Just great stats up front. Elusive Otter seems excellent. Both halves of the card are good, but especially the Grove's Bounty. Just spend 4 mana on turn 4 or something, put 3 counters wherever you want. Very flexible, putting it wherever you want it. Like that a lot. Rankle's Prank, another very flexible, very powerful card. If your opponent only has 2 creatures on board and they're really good, and you just have like a rat token and something, I don't know, something else weak, or if you have no creatures on board, you can find positions where this is really good. Again, because you're choosing the effects that you're using, you can find positions where maybe you don't have cards in your hand, but your opponent does, or you don't have creatures on board, but your opponent does, and you can make this one-sided, which is pretty gross. Then we have Rowan, Scion of War, which is a really cool card to build around and constructed. I don't think that there's a lot you can do with it in draft, though, since you can only use its ability at sorcery speed, so you have to have a lot of stuff that makes you pay life to do much, but still a 3-mana 4/2 menace is a nice aggressive body, so worth considering if we're in the color pair, but don't think she's going to be super exciting. So that is it for the rares. We will take a quick peek at each color, as I always like to do, but I suppose it's been a while since I played sealed. We do like to take a look at our multicolored and colorless cards first, because even the non-rare multicolored cards tend to be really sweet build-arounds. And our colorless cards are going to help us know how much mana fixing we have as well as if there's any cards that would fit into any deck. So for multicolored cards for build-arounds, we've got Neva, Stalked by Nightmares. That's probably not how to pronounce it. But a 4-mana 2/2 menace returns a creature enchantment from grave to hand. Pretty good value play. You can also buff them up whenever an enchantment's put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Pretty spicy. And then Sir Armont the Redeemer for a green-white Auras deck. And this shows off another one of the new mechanics in the format, which is roll tokens. We are getting aura tokens. They're pretty self-explanatory, much like a creature token or an artifact token or whatever. You have to cast a spell that says create a blank token, and then you just put it on the board and use it like an aura, just like normal. So it'll hit the board attached to one of your creatures. So pretty nice, pretty interesting mechanic. There are like 6 different rolls that all do something slightly different, but they're all right around that little +1/+1 level of impact on the game. So roll tokens are pretty cool. The other mechanics to note are ones that utilize the roll tokens. The bargain mechanic is the other new mechanic. Let's see if I can find anything that has bargain on it. But bargain is a sweet mechanic. Here we go. Stone Splitter Bolt here shows off bargain. So bargain is an ability that lets you sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast the spell. So it's interesting because usually for these kind of abilities, you could sacrifice a creature as well. But this one, you could only sacrifice a creature if it's a creature token, which is important to note. But what it does is basically, it's like Kicker. So you kick the spell by sacrificing an artifact, enchantment, or token to make the spell more powerful. With Stone Splitter Bolt, you spend a red and X, you do X to a creature or planeswalker, or you spend the same mana cost but sacrifice something while you cast it, and now you're dealing twice X damage to that card. With Brave the Wilds, you can just get a land from your deck into your hand and then shuffle, or if you kick it, if you bargain it, by sacrificing an artifact, enchantment, or token, you can also make one of your lands just permanently a 3/3. So that is the bargain mechanic. That is the other new mechanic. Outside of it, it's a bunch of adventures, which we have seen before, but if you haven't seen them before, they're a really nice 2-for-1 mechanic where you get to cast the adventure from your hand, putting your creature into exile, then you can cast the creature from exile later. So basically you get 2 spells on the 1 card. So with Grabby Giant on turn 2, I can get a treasure token, and then on turn 3, I can use that treasure token to pay for the giant itself. Casting the giant from exile, of course, after we've put it on an adventure. So pretty nice mechanics in the set. I like them quite a bit. So those were our multicolored cards. I don't think the uncommon multicolored cards we have here are really that strong to push me in these directions, but they are interesting. And for colorless, we've got great mana fixing. We've got Evolving Wilds, Edgewall In, which is very similar, where it hits the board tapped as whatever color we need, and 2 Prophetic Prism, which can help fix us for whatever color. So really nice fixing if we want to splash in a 3rd color. So maybe I did like our red-black rare a lot, the dragon thing. So we can go like red-black and then maybe splash white. So we're red-black and splashing in our Neva, or maybe splash green and use our Restless Cottage for even more fixing there. Definitely some options. So we have now checked up on our colorless cards, our lands, and our multicolored cards. So we're going to take a quick peek at each color, see how strong it looks, and see what looks the best to me. And this is where we are going to go a little speed mode. I'm not going to go over every single card, and these are the cards that I'm just going to kind of get a cursory glance at. White looks pretty fine here, because we have the removal from Grasp of Fate. We've got some decent creatures like Hopeful Vigil and stuff, but a lot of these do seem kind of filler, not super exciting. So white just looks okay to me. Actually speed things up. This... Alright, well, they fixed Sealed Pool deck building a little bit by letting us see all of our rares, but they didn't fix the bug where the deck builder lags out if you use the sorting method that lets you see your creatures on curve and the non-creatures on curve, so that's a little sad. You win some, you lose some. Anyways, for our blue cards now, we've got that Otter with the very good green adventure that I like. That prankster seems great. Some awkward combat, tricky kind of stuff and tap stuff. I really don't like our blue non-creature cards, and we don't have a lot of blue creatures, so I don't think that's where it's at. Check out our black stuff now. Hoping that our black's pretty good. Again, we can go red-black and use our best rares there. Although our best rare, our dragon, doesn't necessarily need black mana. But black gives us access to our Rankle's Prank for another rare. And some great removal between Shatter the Oaths and Feed the Cauldron. Yeah, black looks reasonable. Looks about as good as our white, better than our blue. So I'm thinking black-red can be an awesome place to be. Suppose it does depend on our red as well, but we already know that our red gives us Decadent Dragon, gives us 2 copies of that Stone Splitter Bolt, which can be pretty nice removal if we're good at bargaining. Bunch of filler 3-mana creatures. The Recruiter seems really good if you can splash in the white for it. And we could run a couple Prophetic Prisms just to splash in some off-color adventures like Train the Troops from the Recruiter. So we'll definitely try to play that. I think Edgewall Pack looks like a great way to enable expensive bargain cards like the Stone Splitter Bolt. Because a 4-mana 3/3 menace with an expendable little bargain token seems like a fine deal. The Grabby Giant could help with that as well, because if we make the treasure and then we don't need the treasure later, we can just sack a treasure to bargain. Yeah, I like the look of the red. We got the cut-in as well, so we've got like 3 pretty solid removal spells. A couple that are pretty narrow, only doing 1 damage to a target, but we're also drawing a card with these. Nice little cantrip, those could be worth it. The curve's not great, but in Sealed Pool it never really is, at least on average. Gonna be the greatest curve, you're not gonna get a lot of 1 and 2 drops every time, so. Red-black looking sweet, but we'll check out our green as well. We do have some big finishers in green between these Stormkeld Guardian and Hamlet Glutton and stuff. That's pretty cool. Agatha's Champion has a huge fight ability when it hits the board. We could be like black-red and then just splash in some big green finishers. Although most of these are double green, which is hard to splash because you have to hit 2 of your off-color to splash them in. The Champion's an easy splash. We just need 1 green source to get there, so off of some random treasure token from one of our other cards, we could get that into the decks. That might be worth it. Non-creature spells don't look incredible, but I do like the Curse. Brave the Wilds if this was a main color. Yeah, little low on playables in green, but the big high mana value ones that we have are looking pretty good. But overall, I think we're in a perfectly reasonable position to just focus up on black-red for now. So we'll put all the black, red, colorless, and multicolored cards in. And I think I'm happy to just do that for today's deck for my first attempt at getting into this format. One really important thing to keep in mind about Bargain is, as I said before, it technically does not sacrifice a creature. It can sacrifice a token, but not just a straight-up creature. So cards like Ariet's Tempting Ample that can steal an opposing creature are not as good because you do need to have other ways to sack that creature if you want to be one of the steal and sack style decks. And we do have a Goblin Bombardment, but I don't know if we're going to be playing it because it didn't seem like we have a lot of rat production anyway. So I feel like the Apple Goblin Bombardment plan, probably not where we're going to be at here. I do like Hopeless Nightmare a lot when you've got good bargain cards that can help us out, giving us a random enchantment on board to bargain away, because it just hits the board, immediately gets its impact as if it was just a sorcery or something, but leaves that card behind. Rat Out as well gives us the bargainable rat token while being a little combat trick. If you have a lot of enchantments in your deck or a lot of rolls, the Warehouse Tabby can give you a lot of rats as well. If you're producing a ton of rolls, the way that those roll tokens work is technically they're not just like any other token. A creature can only have 1 roll on it per player. So if I put the like +1/+1 trample roll onto one of my creatures, here's an example. If I put Young Hero as an aura onto one of my creatures, and then I draw into something else that would put another roll onto that creature, then I would have to sack one of them, and the creature would only get the one roll. So can't stack them up, but what you can do is if you're producing a ton of rolls, you can loop them onto the same thing just to keep sacrificing them to trigger cards like Warehouse Tabby. Now, it doesn't look like I'm going to be doing a lot of roll production, but we can do a quick search. Yeah, I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that make rolls. Because I don't think I'm playing Not Dead after all, unless I have a lot of good Enter the Battlefield effects. Maybe I'll be playing 1 or 2 of those, but obviously we're not playing the green-white card here, so. We've got some treasure production, but I'm not going to get that spicy for my very first, like, just dipping a toe into the format kind of thing. So I think I'm not doing the Warehouse Tabby stuff. Spear Guard seems real aggressive, and we do not have the curve to be that aggressive. Gonna have to be pretty slow and defensive here. We'll have to play Minstrosity just to have at least something at 2 men or less. Do like to feed the Cauldron a lot. Lord Skitter's Butcher, very flexible card. They got Ratatouille up in here, which is very cool. Sweet Tooth Witch seems fine. The Flick of Coins are fine, but they're going to be on the chopping block as well, as just 1 damage for 3 mana can be kind of narrow. I like the Recruiter. I'm going to run these 2 Prophetic Prisms just for random off-color adventures at least, so Recruiter stays in. Worst case scenario, the 3 mana 2/2 body buffs your whole board when it comes out. It's not bad either. See, Merry Bards. A 3 mana 3/2, or you can play it as a 4 mana 3/2 that has the Young Hero role attached to it, because you can have it target itself. That actually seems fine, perfectly flexible. Daredevil doesn't seem incredible. Trading down into 2 power, 2 mana cards is pretty bad. Like some treasure production, like the Red Cap Thief, will run Rowan as a menace card. Definitely run the Rankle's Prank and the Cut-In. The Edgewall Pack, the Grabby Giant. We don't have a ton to do at 2 mana, so that's mine. That adventure is actually going to be pretty sweet here, I think. And then we've got the Decadent Dragon. That's just going to be our strongest card. We can run the Neva, just splashing white for Neva and that one adventure, the Recruiter. We're splashing white off of double Prism and treasure tokens. And we can use the prisms and the treasure tokens to bargain for one of our few bargain cards as well. So they've got like alternate usage, which is nice. Yeah, I'm liking it. We'll just cut some of the more filler 5-drops, and this could like be our deck here. That could be reasonable. 42 cards. How many lands are we at? We are at 17 lands. So I still need to cut more cards out of here. Let's see. I don't think I can cut anything else cheap on the curve because we have so little going on at these cheap mana values. Probably some of the 3 and 4 mana cards that are just less synergistic get cut out of here. To be fair, there's very little synergy. We're kind of just all on some raw power as the game plan. Maybe I have enough treasure tokens plus the Edgewall in plus Evolving Wilds to just not need the prisms. We don't have that much bargain either, and for the bargain that we do have, like I don't always need these treasure tokens. Yeah, I have literally 2 bargain cards, so if I don't need the prisms for fixing, they're not really doing anything. So I guess we could just cut those and call it a deck. Red-black with a white splash off some treasure tokens, an Edgewall in, and an Evolving Wilds. I think that looks pretty reasonable. The curve is pretty terrible, but that's just kind of how sealed is. If I really wanted to get super competitive here, I could definitely see just playing a different color pair just to have a more reasonable curve. But we have our coolest and most powerful cards in this color pair. So it's going to show off the coolest stuff. We'll have the most fun with this color pair. If I was strictly trying to win, again, if you want to see super competitive, like the best insights that I can come up with, definitely check out when I'm playing an Arena Open or a qualifier weekend, which I will definitely do for this format, or at the very least, wait till the set comes out, check out a non-streamer event or a non-early access draft or sealed, and I'll probably be a little less goofy and really have the tips and tricks for getting a little better at the format at that time. But for these very first sealeds in the streamer event, the early access event, whatever they're calling it now, I like to just play the cool stuff, and this seems like it gives us the coolest cards with our dragon, with our Rowan, and yeah, I mean, we have other cool cards that we're not playing, like Goblin Bombardment, but we just have such a low creature count, not a ton of token production, that I think this is using the coolest cards that we could actually get to function in this sealed pool with some amount of ease. So I will go ahead and call it a deck here. Give it a name real quick. And give a nice little deck overview for anybody who wanted to skip the sealed pool, deck building, all of that nonsense. Alright, so here's a look at the completed deck for today. We are on just Rakdos stuff, red-black mid-range. Most sealed pools, sealed decks in general, are just going to be kind of a pile of the best stuff in 2 or 3 colors, and that's definitely what this is. We've got a lot of great removal in this color pair with Shatter the Oaths, Stone Splitter Bolts, Cut In, and Feed the Cauldron. And we've also got some of our spiciest rares, like a Decadent Dragon here being the incredibly exciting one. Can be an instant speed card draw adventure, and then a nice aggressive dragon that spits out treasure tokens. We also have Rowan, Scion of War, which is mainly just a nice aggressive menace dork. And Rankle's Prank, which can give us some really powerful one-sided wipes in one way or the other. If we don't have creatures out but our opponent does, then we can make just our opponent sack 2 creatures. If we don't have cards in hand but our opponent does, we can make just our opponent discard 2 cards, and anywhere in between there. We just choose the ones that are going to be the most impactful to our opponent and the least impactful to us. Maybe we're in a really weird position, which I don't have a lot of token production, but maybe we're in a weird position where I do have like 1 rat token from Rat Out and like a really expendable Minstrosity or something, and then it's like I can still have each player sack 2 creatures and I don't really feel bad about it at all. So those are the spicy rares we've got. We've also got some good value plays like Neva Stalked by Nightmares, or Neva, or however you pronounce that. And the other white splash that we have in here is one of our adventurers on Imidane's Recruiter. It's the 5 mana to get 2 2/2s with Vigilance, which would turn this card into a 3-for-1. This one card would get us 3 creatures total, 2 2/2s with Vigilance, and another 2/2 that gives our whole board +1/+0 when we play it. So spicy stuff available in the color pair with a good amount of removal for whatever our opponent's doing. Pretty into it. And we'll call it a deck there and hop into the gameplay. Now is when I usually catch my breath and grab a drink and everything. But it'll just be a moment of dead air today. Okay. Here we are for game number 1 of Wilds of Eldraine. Very first time playing the format. Super excited about this, and super excited about this hand. We have all the mana we need. I guess I don't actually have 2 black sources to play this Twisted Sewer Witch later. But we do have the white source off of Evolving Wilds, as well as red and black mana available already. This is the new board. It looks very cool. It's like papercraft, very storybook style. I'm very into it. The flavor and the lore of the new Eldraine set is really diving headfirst into just the fairy tale aspects of Eldraine, rather than the Knights of Camelot stuff going on, which is the stuff that I was more interested in, that I think is super, super cool. And I think they've done a very good job with that. Right, let's go wide. Let's get some rat tokens here. with Lord Skitter's Butcher. That'll make our Sewer Witch even better later. Each rat we control is going to get a Wicked roll later. And that includes the Butcher himself. That includes Ratatouille over here. So if we get the second Black Source for the Sewer Witch, we're going to do some real good stuff in the future. This Gallant Pie Wielder is a little spooky, and I have nothing to do with my Stalked by Nightmares, my Neva or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and just blow that up here and get some damage in. So the Pie Wielder can get double strike if they had 2 permanents enter the battlefield under their turn. So I don't really want to have to deal with getting double striked for a bunch. And most of the rest of my hand I don't really want to play right now. I could play the Minstrosity. But I want to play the Adventure on this card before I cast it. And I can't play Twisted Sewer Witch, and I don't want to cast this until I have a creature enchantment in my grave. So I think that was a fine time to just blow something up. Alright, there's the Black Source. Pretty great draw. We already have every rat in the hand on the board, so let's try to drop the Sewer Witch. I don't know how many counterspells are in this format, but I assume we're about to find out if they have one. Find out one of them. Ice Out. That is just literally cancel. Alright, 3 mana counterspell. Fair. We still have nothing on board, so we still get to beat down. So we'll send that in. I suppose because we have so many rats on board, this is impactful enough. It might have been better to just go for the 2/2/2 Night tokens, get this countered, make it a little more likely that this resolves. But our Stalked by Nightmares can now just put the Sewer Witch back into our hand, and we can try to do it later unless they have multiple counterspells in their hand. And I think that's the play. We don't attack in because I don't want to attack with the rats till I get my Wicked rolls. But yeah, let's drop our Stalked by Nightmares. Pick up our Sewer Witch and try it again next turn. Seems good to me. The Stockpiling Celebrant that they've played has some pretty cool synergies too. Obviously, any enter the battlefield effects gonna be pretty good with her. But specifically Sagas, it's pretty spicy. There are a few in the format. But you could pick up your Saga after Chapter 2. There's also like the 1 mana black enchantment that we're running that makes somebody discard a card when we play it. You could pick that up and then replay it, make your opponent discard another card. There's a white enchantment that makes a 2/2 when it hits the board. You pick that up, replay it, get another 2/2. So I think the Celebrant looks like a pretty fun card to build around with a little bit. They've dropped down a Shrouded Shepherd. Give something +2/+2 and just beat us down a little bit. There is a 2 mana counter unless you pay 2 spell that I guess they could have, but it gets better with more fairies in the deck, and they're just blue-white, so not like the fairy color pair. I suppose they only have a 2/2 up, so I can attack in pretty freely without even playing the Sewer Witch, so I think now I might just do that. Play around the counter a little bit and actually just play the weaker 5-drop instead this turn. Uh-oh. Play around the counterspell, get got by a combat trick instead. Story of my life? Story of my life. Well, that's pretty rough. So the Butcher still would have died if I played Sewer Witch first, but I would have gotten more damage in. Quite a bit more damage in. That is rough. Just get the 2/2 Knights anyway. Play an Edgewall in on black. So I've got triple black. I could cast this and Minstrosity potentially. Hilda's Crown of Winter. This is just like a busted card, right? It's just like a better Icy Manipulator. Yep. I mean, I guess it can't tap artifacts, but I doubt that matters too much in this format. It's basically just a cheaper Ice Manipulator. It only costs 3 to play it instead of 4. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't have the mana to play the Sewer Witch and the Recruiter. I really want to play the Recruiter here with this wide board state to get a bunch of extra damage in. So I could go Merry Bards. Spend the 1 and turn my rat into a hero. My rat's gonna be a young hero so that it gets bigger when it attacks. And then we try to play the Recruiter and buff the whole board and attack with our Summoning Sick 3/2 because it'll get haste. Alright, no counterspell. This looks like it's going to be a great turn. They do tap one of these creatures, but everything else is just going to jam in. Oh, they didn't tap something. Alright, that just gets there. The Imidane's Recruiter finding so much extra damage. But that Merry Bard's also looked pretty sweet. Actually, just putting the young hero onto a rat is hilarious flavorfully. Got little rat heroes running around. We have literal Ratatouille and we had to build our own Ratatouille, making a rat token a young hero. So that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that a lot. Our Gravedigger effect, the card that let us pick up our rat thing, that played really well. Because it even just chipped in for a few points of damage there as a menace creature. Although I suppose we never got to the point where I even recast the Rat Witch anyway. So I don't know how much extra value we really got putting it back into our hand, but it was very nice to have for later. Alright, we are on the play. I do need to top deck a land, but if I find one land, we've got a very nice looking hand. Got 2 pieces of cheap removal. We've got a treasure producer at 3 mana to help us cast a 4-drop. We just top deck 1 land and we're good. There we go. Alright, let's just start with Rowan and just try to beat down for 4 menacing damage a turn. Rowan only has 2 toughness, so basically any removal in the game is gonna kill Rowan. We don't really have a way to try to bait out removal though, because the only other thing I can do is play a 2/3, which they're definitely not going to spend a removal spell on a 2/3. Well, there's Hilda's Crown of Winter again. It's actually going to be worse for us this game, because they got it down early and they immediately have the mana to stop Rowan from attacking if they sack their treasure, but they're going to keep the treasure, which is fair. So let's hit for 4. And then we'll play our Treasure Dork. I could also hold up the mana for Feed the Cauldron, so if they play a creature, I just feed the Cauldron, and if they don't, I just get a treasure, but I think I want to keep playing more threats. And I can just blow up their creature during my turn before I declare attacks to get in. What is this treasure token, by the way? It's like a very hot diamond or crystal of some kind. Unruly Catapult. That can definitely get blown up. So now they're gonna tap Rowan with Hilda's Crown of Stuff. Could Shatter the Oath and get a Wicked roll onto the Red Cap Thief and hit for 3 instead of 2, but I think it's better to save the Shatter for a better card later. It might even be better to just play more creatures here, like just drop the Edgewall pack. It's a 3/3 Menace. That can get around the Catapult as well, so let's just focus up on that, I think. Drop the Edgewall pack. find more ways to get damage in before I start blowing up the blockers. Get a wide enough board state to hit for a ton once I blow up all their blockers. Grabby Giant coming on down. It's a 4/3 reach. You can also sacrifice things to draw cards. Pretty good with the treasure token that it makes. So now I can go ahead and Shatter the Oath, the Giants. Could just buff the rat token. Should be kind of weird. What do I really want to put a Wicked roll onto? So +1/+1 when it dies, opponent loses a life. Could put that on the pack. But if I hit them down to just a catapult, they go block here, take 4. So I could put it on the rat or the pack and I'm getting extra damage in. And if I put it on the rat, I'm not as, top heavy into my 2 best creatures. This might be a little dumb, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go for spreading out my power. I'll make a Wicked Rat. And the one thing that could go super poorly with this is if I draw into the card that puts rolls onto all my rats. I obviously can't have 2 rolls on the 1 rat. But I think this is better in pretty much every other scenario, as long as I don't draw that. And even if I do, I could bargain away the roll before I cast the other card to get extra damage out of the Stone Splitter Bolt. Get our white source here. If I draw my double red card, I can use the treasure from Grabby Giant. Which I guess I can do if I draw one of my 2 white cards as well. But I think I only have 1 card that needs 2 red mana. But 2 that need the white source. Plus, I'm much more likely to just top deck a mountain than top deck a plains. There is an extra effect on the Edgewall Inn that we have not had the time to use yet, but it is a very powerful one. If you're flooding out late in the game, you can just sacrifice this to return something with an adventure from your grave to your hand. So it's like an Evolving Wild style mana fixer that can also cycle itself in the late game to be some graveyard recursion. Really like that card. I think Edgewall Inn is great. Merry Bards. Well, I guess I can't make a rat my young hero. I could make the bards themselves the young hero, which would be fine. Let's just hold up our instant speed removal, move to combat and attack with everybody. And then we'll probably just play the bards post-combat, make it a hero. Play it safe around whatever instant speed combat tricks they might be trying to do here. If it's instant speed removal, I can't really stop it. Misleading Moats. They're going to put that back on top of my library. So I can recast it and get another rat. I'm pretty chill with drawing that again. So they just take 2 damage this turn then. Cast a Merry Bards, and when the Merry Bards attacks, it will be dealing... It'll be a 4-power creature. I guess it won't necessarily be dealing 4 because it could get blocked. Alright. Auto pay. Young hero onto the bards. Ooh, they got the rare dual land. That's very sweet. This one becomes a 2/1 blue and red elemental with first strike. Oh, as long as it's your turn. Oh, okay, that's actually not that insane. I was gonna say, if you could have that animating as a first striker on blocks, that'd be a really broke manland. Still seems solid. That is a big dragon. So I have to kick the bolt. It's ward 2. I also need to draw a land. I cannot kill Archive Dragon right now. I guess I could finish it off after it blocks something with the bolt. That'd be fine. Don't have the mana to do that and play the Edgewall pack, though. So in order to do 6 damage to this dragon, I have to spend a red and 3 and sacrifice a roll. In which case I have 1 extra mana up, which is not enough. So yeah, we're not getting through the dragon. They can't use the crown unless they sack their treasure. Let's move to combat and see if they do that. If they don't sack the treasure, it might be worth going for some instant speed removal and clearing the catapult out. And just jamming in. Okay, they do sack the treasure, so we definitely don't clear out the catapult, but now we need to figure out if we want to attack into the dragon. And what is the worst that happens to us if we do? They trade into the... They don't trade into the Merry Bards. They kill the Merry Bards for free and just take 2 damage. And then I spend a red and 2 to finish off the dragon. Feels pretty bad. I'm not playing any more creatures if I do that. Yeah, no. Alright. Just play the Edgewall pack then. Or I could get the treasure from the Grabby Giant, just to guarantee I have the Bolt mana for the Archive Dragon next turn. It's an option too. Our opponent has 8 mana now. That is a lot. They got any big spells, they are definitely castable. Alright, nothing yet. There's the mana we need, the Iron Crag. So, I'm probably just going to cast the Iron Crag and the Grabby Giant. Now I would attack with everybody. They'd kill my Merry Bards, take 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe? Maybe I'm not doing the Iron Crag, Grabby Giant thing then. And that is an appealing amount of damage. If they block the Archive Dragon, they block the Merry Bards with the Archive Dragon. I can Stone Splitter Bolt for 1, sacking the roll. The Ward 2 is still an issue. But I can do that so I can keep everything else. Except for whatever the Spire wants to trade into. Whoa. Spire's just gonna straight trade for a 1/1 rat? They gotta be casting something else here. I'm just gonna let this through. Until they try to do a trick and save their Restless Spire. +2/+1 to the Spire is the plan. I cannot... Can't kill the Spire and the Dragon here, but if I kill the Spire, then I'm also killing the Minecart Daredevil, because the adventure will not resolve, so the whole thing goes to the grave. So I think it is important to do that here, and worth it to do that. Because now we're just like also countering their next creature, which is pretty insane. Ice out to counter that. Then I think I Stone Splitter Bolt. Because then they don't have the creature anymore. Which means we have to let them just keep the dragon, but so be it. This is clearing out the Restless Spire and the 4/2 creature. We're hitting for 5? Oh yeah, they're down to 4 now. Yeah, this feels pretty good. We no longer have a plan to get rid of the Archive Dragon, but our plan is to just attack around it. Just go wide. Torch the Tower is the top deck. That's a very good one. It's going to kill Rowan, and now they can start tapping down the pack. That was a really good draw. Iron Crag. You're not going to do anything till I draw another legend, so we just get our treasure, or I can get an adventure back if I have one. I do not. Okay, so let's get the Grabby Giant down. And then I can start sacking treasure tokens and lands to draw cards. So we go to combat, they tap the pack, block Red Cap Thief and a 2/2 and take 1. Not going to be worth it until next turn. They draw Johann, Apprentice Sorcerer. They can cast instants and sorceries off the top of their library. That's going to be huge card draw. It's also a 2/5 body. Another very solid draw. Oh my god, and the top of their deck is a draw 2 instants. So that is 3 just stacked deck cards in a row, basically. Removal into 2/5 that draws them to draw 2. Only got 3 blockers. Ooh, oh my god. I was going to say, they only have 3 blockers, so if we hit something good, we might still jam in for lethal, and that is something good. 3 blockers, no tap this turn. Block, 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 block. I mean, they're already taking 3 on board, so Recruiter's definitely lethal. They are tapped out, correct? Yep. Alright. Few very solid draws for our opponent in a row, but then we just hit the one incredible draw right after that. So we just like flipped it right back. We were playing a game of war. Our opponent hit like 10, Jack, and then I just went ace. Alright. They are going to take all the damage, and that will end the second game. We are now 2-0 with our Rakdos pile. Really liking the mechanics in this format. I'm very excited to seeing how draft works out, because a lot of these mechanics and archetypes look like they're going to be super fun. I'm loving the rat tokens. I don't have a lot of rat production in this deck, but I'm still liking my little 1/1 rats that can't block anyway. Liking what I do have. Well, this is pretty excellent mana. Slow hand, but it is sealed. We can afford that. Yeah, let's keep this. Evolving Wilds for the plains. And we edge wall in. Oh no. Okay. Then I guess we get the second black source. With the Evolving Wilds. Our opponent started with a 1-mana 2/1. That's a really good 1-mana 2/1 as well. Once it's no longer useful, they can just turn it into an aura on another creature that's going to start buffing it up every turn. It's going to be the young role, or the young hero role that does the +1/+1 counters. What is this? They took their mono red aggro draft deck into the sealed queues? That's not fair. Well... Yep, their pool definitely has an aggro curve available. Ooh, another blue-red deck. There's the Restless Spire for their third land. Okay, we've got 3 mana. Let's drop the Witch here so that I can have the mana to use the Merry Bard's ability when I play that one. Yep, 2 mana 2/1 first strike, pretty good against our 3 mana 3/2. The Chancellor of Tales now. So they get to double up every adventure that they cast. And they have a 2/3 flyer. That also seems quite good. Alright, we're going to play the Edgewall pack instead of the Merry Bards because it's actually big enough to block the Ratcatcher trainee. So that one's going to force them to sack the Embereth veteran to put a roll onto the trainee to get in with it. Still going to hold the Witch back because we really need to preserve our life total, and this gets them to maybe not attack with veteran. Okay, they've got combat tricks. At 12 life, I think I have to just get got by them. Unless it's something that gives multiple creatures extra toughness, this shouldn't be that bad. Just 5 to a creature. So just a straight removal spell there. Combat trick there, sure. When it doubles up, because it's an adventure. Yeah. Alright. Ooh, I take 4 damage if I don't play a blocker here. But I also kind of feel like I need to shatter the flyer. Because I can't play 2 blockers, can I? I can play a red cap thief and have 3 mana up. I guess I can play the thief and the bards if I don't kick the bards and get the young hero roll. But then again, they can still just sack the veteran and make the trainee a 3/2 first striker on its attack, and then these two are not great. So I guess I can double block there. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. The young hero role is so worthless to us right now because we're just straight up blocking for a long time here. So it's okay that I'm not spending the additional one. Whoa! Well, we just got destroyed. I mean, I guess it's a good thing I kept Shatter the Oath, but I don't have the mana to play it and gain life, so I'm dead anyway. But I guess keeping Shatter the Oath correct play. Even if we are just dead now. Yeah, no way to stop. Enough damage on 1 mana off from eating the food and shattering. If... No, that makes them lose life. Never mind. I thought this was make our opponent lose a life and we gain a life. If that's how it worked, then maybe if they, like, killed my rat in response. Or something. We'd be alive, but... Nope. No way to gain life. We don't have enough mana. I mean, this looked very much not close at all, but when you think about it, like, we were not far from stabilizing. Because this is whatever they top decked that turn. So if they just missed on the draw step, we gain 3, they can activate their land and attack with everybody, but then we kill the trainee and the first strike land for free, take 4, go to 1. And then I've got these 2 cards, which are really huge tools to deal with everything else they have left, so... I feel like we were 1 turn, maybe 2, from being able to potentially get at least the board state pretty far in our favor. Definitely not life totals. We were always going to be dead to just, like, a top deck burn spell from that point on, no matter what, but... I think we were close to maybe trying to flip it around in the long game grind. We are now 2-1 as we head into game 4. Here we are now for game 4. Ooh, I forgot to cut Crystal Grotto. I do not want Crystal Grotto in this deck. The having to spend extra mana to get your mana of any color is really rough. Unless you really desperately need fixing, you just shouldn't play Crystal Grotto, and this deck doesn't really desperately need it because we already have Evolving Wilds and the other fixing land and some treasure tokens and a bunch of cards that are just much better than Crystal Grotto. That's spooky. Opponent is on blue-black fairies, so they're going to play a bunch of flying creatures and make us lose life every time they cast fairies. Well, every time the fairies enter the battlefield. Okay. Let's drop our treasure dork, I think. Don't really need the scry right now. Any draws are fine. They're on blue, black, and white. Here's an unassuming sage. There's just going to be a 4-mana 3/3, basically. Because they're putting a sorcerer roll on it. It scries whenever they attack. Yeah. Or it's just like a 4-mana 3/3. Not super scary. Okay. Another black source. Drop the bards and make it a young hero. Or I can bolt or feed the cauldron one of their cards. Just get a young hero bards. Rat out. -1/-1 to something. That could win a combat. Gives us a rat token to bargain. Also gives us a rat token to make a young hero, and I really like that. Can't possibly be right, but I like making rat heroes. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do that. So rat out is gonna be my plan for the unassuming sage. For the Obira, if I feed the cauldron during my turn, I actually get a food token, so I probably should have done that, but I guess at this point I've got 2 bolts, and they're probably not playing anything super big in blue, black, white, so we'll just use one of these. Just do the 2 damage. Return Triumphant. Return it to the battlefield as a young hero. Alright, well, I guess now I'll feed the cauldron and actually get the food. And then I'll still have the 1 mana up for the rat out. No way! Oh my god, that card is completely broken. That card's actually so good, I think I need to just bargain away my red cap thief to counter this. Because 7 mana at the beginning of your upkeep, put a creature from any graveyard on the battlefield under your control, that wins any long game. So now... Oh, I can't bargain the thief because I can't sack creatures unless they're tokens. Okay, so I just lose. Snap. I did bring up that you can't sack creatures to bargain unless they're tokens, and then I forgot. Alright, gross. Probably one of the most busted mythics in the whole format. Because not only is it like the insane 7 mana win condition, but it's like also a removal spell with life gain attached early. Gross. Well, so much for this game. I feel like this one's probably a wash. Really need this treasure. And holding up a rat out doesn't do anything, so let's just get a 3/2 out to trade with the sage. Solitary Sanctuary. Tap a creature and stun it, and put a counter on one of your cards, and get another counter every time you tap something. It's pretty good. Pick up my red cap thief. Hold up rat out. Although again, Neva's just a 2/2, so the rat out's not even going to do anything. And we're still losing this game if they hit 7 mana. And I'm already currently in a very bad spot, even if they don't. But no shot once they hit land 7. I mean, I guess my life total's in a bad spot, but I have enough blockers slash removal. I might be okay if they didn't have that 7-drop coming up. I'm not going to save the food for a bargain when we're down at 5 life. That'd be 1 hit dead to the unassuming sage. Plus I'm going to get a rat to bargain with if I need to. Cool. Guess I'll get a rat and a treasure to bargain with. Tap out here or hold up the bolt. Probably supposed to hold up the bolt for 4. So I'm threatening the double block trade, so they might just tap down a creature and make the Sage a 5/5, in which case we respond by killing it. Never mind, one of our cards is just a 1/1 now, so we're not threatening a double block. They're still going to go for the tap. They're going to go for the counter on Sage. They are. Alright, so we kill it in response to that. Rowan. Cool card, but they're 1 mana off from the Virtue and they just scry 2 next turn to get the land. Big yikes, big spooky. I guess I get to cast both my cards. Pray. No land off the top, and then no land in the top 2 after that. Two to the bottom? No, 2 to the top. It's not a good sign. Oh. No land for turn, so one of those 2 is definitely land number 7. It's not good for us. Shatter the Oath. When does this trigger? Beginning of your upkeep, put a creature from a grave on the battlefield under your control. So their game plan here is going to be tap out for that next turn, so if I just blow up their whole board, which is just this creature, maybe I can try to outrace that thing. Put a Wicked roll on something. I guess spread out the board state here. They tap Rowan with the Frost thing before this resolves. Oh, it destroys an enchantment! Oh my god! Oh, the misplay. I hate the color pie so much. They literally never print black spells that destroy enchantments, so I wasn't even thinking that that was a possibility. Mark Rosewater, you failed me again. Make my spell be able to destroy enchantments. Why can my black removal spell kill the enchantment? Now I feel like a complete doofus for understanding the color pie better than wizards. Great. Well, we had the out. We had the out because for some reason my black sorcery can destroy enchantments. But I didn't realize it. Could still find a win. I mean, the cards in grave aren't that big, right? There's a 2/2, a 2/2, a 2/2. I guess my 4/2 menace is in there. They could pick up my Neva. That'd be pretty bad. What does this do? Exile the top 2 face down. I've got the mana to play this and the dragon, so we definitely do that. Can play those cards. Yeah. Ooh, that's a terrible auto tap. Thank you very much for that, Arena. Just trying to tap all of my red sources. Swamp and Besotted Knight. Put a royal roll on one of my creatures? Interesting. I guess I can play the dragon and then put the royal roll on it to make it ward. I don't really know if the ward's gonna matter. I probably should have just got 1 more damage in instead. Alright, they get the Neva, they pick up whatever they want. I can't believe... If I just let them keep the 2/2, we would have just... They would have spent 7 past turn and then I just blow up the mythic enchantment. I'm gonna be tilted about that for centuries. I've been playing Magic too long for these newfangled black naturalizes. Send in with everybody and use Rat Out to beat Neva. Oh, I guess they just get to pick it up again. Oh, that card is so egregious. Gadwick's first duel again. Make our knight a 1/1 with no text. Actually, it keeps its text. It just becomes a 1/1 in terms of power and toughness. And they get a 3/3 again. Yep. They are at 4 life, taking at least 2. We have outs. We gotta hit them fast, though. I don't know if it's worth an attack now. Probably. I hit them for at least 2. And they potentially kill one of my 1/1s with Neva and a 2/3 with a 3/3, and they take 3 and go to 1. I don't think I have any direct to face burn, though. But if I just sit here, they're going to have a 3rd blocker now. Minimum. Yeah, we'll put them to 2 or 1 if they decide to kill a 1/1. They do decide to go to 1. There are a lot of 1 damage spells in the format. Not in my deck, though. So that's a very bold block. Actually, if I just get a Wicked roll, they're dead. Yeah, hold up. We actually do have more outs in our deck now. Because they did that. If I get a Wicked roll, they die. I just put it on something and it's like, they either take the damage and die, or they kill it and die to the 1 life loss. So if we find like the rat producer that puts a Wicked roll onto all of our rats, that would do it. Speaking of Wicked rolls, there's a Conceited Witch. Rankle's Prank. Each player loses 4 life? Sure. Alright, well, obviously the biggest punt in a long time. Reading the cards explains the cards. I had read that earlier today, that it destroys enchantments. I even mentioned it. But it's so instinctually ingrained in me that black removal spells do not touch enchantments, that I completely just blanked on that entirely against the virtue of persistence. But obviously we could have had an even more guaranteed line to victory there. In terms of like killing the 2/2 and then just trying to out aggro the virtue of persistence, obviously that worked out, which was the plan, but we did not need to do that plan. We could have just killed the virtue of persistence and then easily killed them with these draws against no reanimating things every single turn. Yeah, this card is wild. This card is super scary, and I guess because they're putting that many super powerful, like, rare and mythic enchantments in the format, that's why they're giving black access to some enchantment removal, but that is still never going to feel right to me based on what they do with the color pie, with what colors can destroy what kinds of permanents and stuff. Never going to get used to that, but I will certainly have a much harder time forgetting that part of that spell in the future, now that I almost just completely punted away that game by missing out on that text, so I guess it is good to find these things out during the early access streamer event here, when there's nothing really on the line. That was hopefully the loosest play of the day, and we still managed to find a victory in the end, which is nice. So we are 3-1 as we head into game number 5. Here we are for game 5. Pretty bad mana here. We need to hit one more swamp, but then the Twisted Sewer Witch, they're really sweet 5-drop, and we have 2 rats beforehand. I'm just gonna force the rat archetype every time. Now I've got my double black, Edgewall in and Evolving Wilds, if I need to. I'm gonna hold on Evolving Wilds for a little bit here, in case I top deck a swamp, then I can get the plains off of it. I like getting this in on the board immediately. Sir Ginger the Meal Ender. Ooh, we drew an Iron Crag for ramp. That's pretty sweet. Although I should probably just rat out the Sir Ginger. Trample, Hexproof, and Haste as long as I have a Planeswalker. Whenever an artifact's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, they get a +1/+1 counter on it and scry 1, so when they like eat food and stuff, it gets better. Yeah, I mean, we just rat that out. Just kill that before they possibly make it any bigger. Alright, and then sorry white spells, I'm just going to immediately Evolving Wilds for the black source since I'm only spending 1 mana this turn. It's pretty easy to do that. As my land per turn, get the tap land out of the way. Hopeful Vigil, that makes my rat token pretty useless for now, because a 2/2 Vigilance can attack right past it and then always be up to block it. Get this out of the way in case I draw a 3-drop. We drew a bolt. Okay. We're chilling. We get to drop our Sewer Witch next turn if we want. But I think I'm going to play the pack and then the Sewer Witch to get as many Wicked rolls as possible. So the Iron Crag isn't really actually doing anything for us here. It would have if we cast it earlier, but I just really wanted to make sure that we killed Sir Ginger before she got any extra toughness. With anything that I might not be able to foresee. What is that? Whenever I destroy a non-creature permanent they control, they can destroy one of my permanents. So we'll just make sure never to do that. Just don't destroy their non-creature permanents. I only have the 1 card that can actually do that. The black removal spell that blows up enchantments. So I think we'll be fine. Ooh. Well then. Now it really works out that I actually didn't like Iron Crag ramp into the Witch, because let us wait another turn and know that we're going to get a Rat Peasant too. Get a Ratatouille in here. Alright, let's still play the Edgewall pack first. But we're also going to play Lord Skitter's Butcher, and then we'll play the Sewer Witch. Remember Chimney Rabble? This is him now. Feel old yet? They've got 4 cards in their hand and 3 colors up, black, green, and white. Their name is 5-color hub, so should expect to see some islands and mountains at some point. Sky Beast Tracker, a really big blocker. Fair enough. Ooh, a cut-in. I can make a rat hero again. Although then I get rid of the Wicked roll, which is sad. Yeah, nothing I really want to kill right now, so let's get the Butcher down. Just have as many rats as possible. They could double block the pack. I deal 2 there, 2 there, and then I can finish it off with Bolt. Could also Bolt sacking a rat, or sack the Iron Crag at this point, honestly. To kill the tracker and then wipe their board. That's probably fine. Because I'm still having a 4 damage removal spell left over, so unless they play like a 5 toughness bomb after that, I think I'll be okay. So yeah, we've got a pretty spicy Iron Crag bargain to clear out the board if they go for the double block. Alright, they don't go for the double block, so we just get to hold up the Bolt. Tempest Heart. It's a 4 mana 3/4, gets a +1/+1 counter when they cast higher mana value spells. Okay, let's... I want to just ramp up into getting a massive attack in next turn. Really feel like I do. I'm gonna kill that thing. With Bargain. Sack the Crag. And then just drop the Sewer Witch. And go big bada boom. They kill 1 rat for free, but boom! That's big stuff right there. That is a wicked board state for sure. They're gonna trade into a rat and kill 1 rat for free? Sure. They're down to 9. They lose some life from the wicked rolls. They're down to 7. We've got a cut in to clear out a blocker next turn. And 3 wicked rats. So even if they kill all 3, they take 3 damage. And if they don't kill them, then they're letting them through and taking even more. Been just the sweetest. Do I have any adventures? Nope. Edge wall in, not doing too much here. Alright, clear out the 2/4. I guess I have to turn a rat from wicked into a hero. Because the young hero roll doesn't do anything on anybody else. I guess we get to keep it for bargain cards. I think it's worth it. Get a rat to a point where it can turn into a 3/3. Oh, we still make them... Oh, that's sweet. If I swap the aura around, it makes our opponent lose. It's when the aura dies, not when the creature dies. Okay, now I don't feel bad at all. That's a really nice interaction. Yeah, I can just swap the auras around and get the damage. I don't even have to keep it on the creature. Awesome. Break the spell. Blow up the wicked on the butcher to draw a card. But just take all the damage and die. We are now 4-1, I believe. So positive win rate for our first step into the Wilds of Eldraine format, which is pretty sweet because I'm not sure I built an incredible deck here, but it's playing pretty well. And I'm playing a little bit like a doofus, but we're drawing quite well. The cards are combining pretty well. That's what the streamer event is all about. Have the magic content creators just show up in the format and make all the mistakes and misplays so you don't have to. We are heading into game number 6. 4-1 now. All right, here we are on the play for game 6. I'm pretty into this hand. I don't have a lot of 2-drops in this deck. I think I could just play the end tapped on turn 2 and get the Nightmare out of the way turn 1. I guess it doesn't really matter. Either way, it's going to be the same thing, basically. Yep. But that let me wait for drawing the red source, so now I can play the edge wall in on white, which is excellent. That is helpful. Tough Cookie. Very funny, very cute card. It's also very powerful. A 2-mana 2/2, plus you get a food token, plus for 3 mana you can turn your food tokens into 4/4s until end of turn. And the cookie itself is food, so you can eat it and gain 3 life if you need to, or if you have other cards that benefit from the amount of food tokens you have, or just food you have in general. It'll count towards that. Big fan of the Tough Cookie. Play at Mary Bards and make the Rowan a young hero. And she'll be a 5/3 attacker, which is pretty sweet. It is putting all our eggs into one super big basket that's already a lightning rod for removal though, so it's probably better to just put the young hero onto the Mary Bards still. I like our curve though, Rowan into Bards into trained troops. Well, they're just gonna hit us. They are just going for the race. Alright. Take 6 here. Ooh. I don't have a second red source, but that's cool for the future. So if this is the case and they're just racing us, I'm actually gonna make Rowan the young hero so I get instant damage off of this instead of having to wait a turn to get my extra point of damage. But does play poorly against removal. I do feel like if they had removal, though, they would have just killed Rowan. They could still have removal. There are 4 mana and 5 mana removal spells. But I think most of what would kill Rowan costs between 1 and 3. It's like 1 red mana, deal 2 to a creature. A green and 2, there's a fight spell. But there is that 4 mana sorcery that we're running that does 4 damage to a creature. They could have that. And they just didn't have the mana for it yet. They're just going to keep beating us up with food. This little jelly cake. They're going to play Ruby Daring Tracker, which is a mana dork, and Prophetic Prism, which is mana fixing. And they're going to poke us with the Tough Cookie. Alright. Down to 12. And then this is going to be a major turn here for helping us outrace them. Oh, if its toughness is 3 or less, put a counter. So it goes all the way up to 4 toughness. Oh my god. Okay, the young hero roll is better than I thought. I misread it. Anyways, getting 2 2/2s in this race is going to be massive, because that's really going to make sure that they can't crack back for a lot of damage here. And they are going to go ahead and scoop them up. I think they missed a few land drops there. Keep them from competing too hard with our aggro. Alright. Yeah, learning more stuff. So the young hero roll, it puts a counter on it if it has 3 or less toughness. So if it's got 3 toughness, it will attack, get the counter, go up to 4 toughness, then it'll stop working. I kept treating it like it stops working once you reach 3 toughness. But no, you get 1 final trigger at 3 toughness, and then you don't get any more. That's really good. I like that a lot, the young hero roll. Really, all the rolls in general have seemed pretty sweet. Seems like it's going to be a really nice, really fun mechanic to be drafting around with, as I've said before, but the more I play with it, the more excited I'm getting about all these roll tokens. So here we are now for game 7. Okay, I think I need to turn one Evolving Wilds for the red source, or Edgewall in for red, rather than just Nightmaring immediately. So I can get the benefit of actually playing a turn 3 Grabby Giant, because otherwise I go Nightmare, Swamp, Ironcrag. Turn 3 I don't have an untapped land, so I need to save an untapped land for turn 3 for the Giant. Plus I need a red source down. There's that too. Minstrosity to start things off. 2 mana 3/1 here. Ooh, now I can just play an Ironcrag first instead. Or an Ironcrag, an Edgewall pack. Instead of a Grabby Giant. I think that's a little better. For now. And then I can play the Giant the turn after that, using the Evolving Wilds to find our white source. Most likely. The Lord Skitter's Butcher, love that card. Got one ourselves. They are going to get the rat token. Alright, here's Edgewall pack. Got a 3/3 on blocks. Great aggressive curve from our opponent. 2 mana 3/1 into 3 mana 2/3 and a 1/1 here. Could fall behind pretty quickly. We'll be doing our best. Conceited Witch, gonna put a Wicked Roll onto the Butcher. And I think we're enough behind here. I gotta just trade off into the Minstrosity, let them have the food. Now they get a 2/3 Menace from the Witch. Yep. Do hit an untapped land. That means I can play Shatter the Oath here, but then I have no blockers up. I think I would rather just play a Grabby Giant to trade into the Butcher right now. And then drop Evolving Wilds on white. Yikes. Yeah, this is a very nice aggressive curve on the play from our opponent. 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, and then removal plus another aura. Feels like we're too far behind here. At least sack the Giant to scry 2 and draw a card, which is kind of cute. Thing's got Ward 1. Don't have the mana to pick something up and cast it with Neva. If I do Lord Skitter's Butcher, I could hit something that costs 3 or less. I probably don't, but maybe. Stone Splitter Bolt. Bargain it with our rat to kill the Butcher. Yeah. I don't think we're getting out of this one, though. I'm taking a minimum of 3 damage here if I manage to kill the Butcher. Actually 4 damage because I lose the life from the Wicked Aura as well. Need to have a backup plan if they combat trick me. So I need to block Butcher. In case that thing survives the combat trick. or survives with a combat trick, then I don't just die this turn. Alright, cool. I am down to 3, dead to 1 hit from their menace creature, which is bad. They drop a 3/3. Okay. Now we shatter the oath, paying the 1 extra mana on the Conceited Witch to get rid of their menace card, and then we have a 3/4 to block a 3/3. The hope and the dream right there. Alright, make them discard another creature. Fingers crossed, no removal. We survive this turn. This is the big turn to potentially stabilize, because we're going to be picking up something from grave and casting that. Yeah, they just drop a 3/3. The Sweet Tooth Witch, that's a big draw for a food here, and a big enough creature to trade into a knight. Is that better than playing Neva? If I play Neva, I've got 3 mana up. Yeah, all I would do is make a 2/2 menace and cast nothing else for the turn if I cast this. I guess I could flip my Iron Crag, which is cute, but doesn't actually really help. Yeah, we gotta play the Sweet Tooth Witch here. Holding up our mana to eat the food. Or I could cast both. Pick up the Edgeball pack. Turn a creature or enchantment. I think I just pick up the Grabby Giant. Alright. Let's do that. Pick up the Grabby Giant. I want the equipment right now. Over the Mana Rock. I think I do. So I can spend 4 on the giant and 2 on the food still next turn, and then I can start putting just +3/+3 onto my creatures to have big enough blockers. No. Well, Neva gets bigger, so I can still trade into both their creatures. Keep the Shatter the Oath for sure. Yeah, they go down to a 1/1 rat here. I have to trade both. I can't just take the 3. So they're down to just a rat. I drop a 4/3 in game 3. And we've got to Shatter the Oath for their next threat. Scream Puff, that's a big threat. We will shatter that. Eat the food here. Trade 5 damage for 1 damage here. They've got 2 food, they're at practically 22. I don't think I'm quite doing that yet. After I equip Everflame, I probably do. 5 life is so small, though. Although, now I do have adventure creatures to pick up. No! Princess takes flight now. I don't have adventures to pick up. That's my only adventure creature I played. Ooh, that's a big yikes. Oh, I should have cracked this in my upkeep. That was loose. If they don't have a way to bargain that Princess takes flight away, then we will get the giant back eventually. But yeah, I should have sacked Hopeless Nightmare during my upkeep. That could have changed things. Got one draw step. No, they have the Negotiator too. Well, we can see if we would have hit anything, but I don't think we're going to win if they had that. That drains us another 3. Yeah, neither of these would have saved us because they wouldn't get any flyers, and I definitely would have kept the Sewer Witch, drawed it, and played it that turn, and then went down to 1 and died anyway. Because then this would have given us a really solid blocker for future attacks. Alright, could not have won there. Got real close to stable though, which was impressive after a really impressive start from our opponent with the early aggro. So, not a victory. We do get steamrolled a bit with our opponent on the play curving out well, but still ended up being a much more interesting game than I thought it would and lasted quite some time. Not bad at all. We are 5-2 now, heading into game number 8. This is a snap keep. This hand looks great. Just gonna end on the white source here, because I can treasure for a double black if I need it, and I have more black sources than anything else in the deck, so likely to find another swamp at some point. Rotisserie Elemental turn 1. That is the best time to play it by country mile. That's going to sit there getting a bunch of skewer counters, and then they can draw that many cards when they sacrifice it later. It is a temporary draw. They have to play the spells immediately, but still very nice. Alright. Get our turn 3 Rowan down and hope for no interaction. Let's just beat down with a gigantic menacing threat. You call that a menace creature? I'll show you a menace creature. No! Rowan has been fed to the cauldron. Well, I can just pick her back up immediately, I guess. Seems fine. Is that better than just playing the grabby giant? Beaten down with a 4-3? I can also make them sack their elemental and I don't lose anything. I feel like I could find a better Rankle's Prank later. You know, I've got plenty of creatures for now. Let's just play the grabby giant and just keep rolling out with the stuff I currently have. I don't need to play this till I'm running out of stuff to do. Take our menace damage. They're gonna sack the elemental. Their Ashiok is milled forever. Let's go. You love to see it. They get a 1/1 and a witch though. Ashiok is the one planeswalker in this format. Super scary one, but exiled forever, so it doesn't matter. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. That's actually really good here, I think. Yeah. They can exile creatures from graveyards, and all of their creatures with +1/+1 counters on them have all of my creatures' abilities. Well, all the exiled creatures' abilities. Gains all the activated abilities. Okay, so... I mean, Rowan's not going to do anything for them with the activated ability. And Rotisserie Elemental's activated ability isn't going to do anything either, because it's the triggered ability that puts the skewer counters on it, which it needs to be able to do anything. So we're actually fine, but this is still going to put +1/+1 counters on their board over and over and over and over, which is not ideal. This is just main deck artifact, or main deck graveyard hate for our Gravedigger though, which is rough. I really don't want to trade into a Spear Guard. I also don't want to use a removal spell on it. I guess I just play another giant, and then they play something better, and I destroy that and give one of these a Wicked roll. If they don't play anything better, I guess I'll just exile the Elemental and make that a 4/4, and then we'll blow it up. Ew. Their sealed pool is insane. Oh my god. They have Ashiok and the Incredible Dragon, the Decadent Dragon. The Soul Cauldron's not as crazy as Ashiok and the Dragon, but it still seems solid and sealed, because sealed is a slower format. But Ashiok and Decadent Dragon and the Skewer Elemental, real good stuff. I mean, I guess I'll just jam. Just get a trade at this point, because now I want to play a Recruiter and then buff everybody later. Do I have to top deck another land to use Shatter the Oath now, though? But if they just... Oh, they don't even have a second red source yet, so they can't even play the dragon yet. Oh, interesting. They're going to put a counter on a rat? That is fine with me. I might just wait until there's more creatures in grave if I were them. Until they have something that can block and then start exiling the creatures. Because creatures in graveyard is a finite resource. It's not that finite, but there's not an infinite amount of them. At this rate, though, there probably will be enough for them to just use Cauldron every single turn. So fair, get the counter value there. Alright, Prank looks real bad on this board state, because they got another rat producer there. Well, we hit the Iron Crag for Shatter the Oath, so that's nice, once they do play the dragon. We'll just shatter that. I guess until then, we're not doing much of anything. Should play the Iron Crag and the Witch then. Our Neva, stalked by nightmares, is just really depressing in this match. Never gonna do anything. Agatha's being rude. Alright, we don't have great attacks here unless I want to trade my Grabby Giant down into a 2/3 rat. No abilities. And I do not want to do that. I guess I could trade into the Witch instead. Alright, here's the Decadent Dragon. I'm gonna shatter that. Soul Cauldron actually... +1/+1 counter, just the threat of activation at instant speed is like... really scary. No matter where I put this roll, I can't get through a Cauldroned up Witch. It'd be a 4/5 now. Just put it on a Vigilance Dork. Oh my god, it has the Grabby Giant abilities because they exiled Grabby Giant to the Cauldron? I'm just getting absolutely demolished by Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Just getting wrecked here. Alright. They've got a recursive value engine with the Soul Cauldron and the Grabby Giant abilities on all their creatures with counters. They have a way to counter our Neva. We just don't have anything that impactful against this board state. So our odds of victory are super, super low, so might scoop if this goes on too much longer. Because there's only a set amount of time that I have to record today, and I gotta record a lot of drafts. And I think that this game is super low odds of victory right now. I would bet a lot of money that playing perfectly from this point on, we're not gonna win. But we'll see. I'll stay in for now. Just if it looks like it's gonna keep taking a long time, we'll have to move on to the next draft event. Back for seconds. Alright. Probably won't take too long then, because they just immediately reanimate the big dragon. Probably stick it out till the end here. Take like 3 swings, probably. Between dragon and ginger brute, that's 5 a turn. Puts us down to 0. I can drop a Sewer Witch, isn't going to do any blocking for me. Neva's going to do literally nothing. Wrinkle's Prank's going to do literally nothing. Yeah, Sewer Witch it is, then is the best play, unless I'm going to go Minstrosity Recruiter. Does not seem great either. Maybe if I get the board state wide enough, I can go like Minstrosity Recruiter, Wrinkle's Prank for the lose 4 out of nowhere. Could be our out. Because they only held 2 blockers up there. The problem with that is if I attack too aggressively and don't immediately kill them, then they can kill me in just 2 attacks instead of 3. Probably some way to jam in an attempt to find lethal. Maybe it was Minstrosity Recruiter that turn. 2 blockers up for them. Oh my god. There's the Shatter the Oath to kill my biggest dork and make the dragon bigger. Not good. And another wicked roll from the Conceited Witch, also pretty bad. Plus that, yeah, now I'm dead in 2 hits from the completely unblockable creatures. Instead of just 1, so I have to kill them in 1 attack, okay. Maybe Minstrosity Recruiter into attack again this turn would have done it, but at this point, I'm not going to find lethal in 1 attack. So maybe needed to order these differently. Do the Minstrosity Recruiter, just give up on the Sewer Witch here. Would have been a potential line. Yeah, because I don't have enough mana to even try to Wrinkle's Prank them after Recruiter now. I guess we'll see. They've got 1 blocker up here. This isn't lethal. Yeah, if we ordered things differently, maybe we could have found lethal. We wouldn't have been hitting with these two last turn, because these wouldn't have been on our board. Actually, this is lethal. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17? Wait a second. If they have literally nothing, I guess it still is. I don't know if this is more damage than having done it the other way, though, where we just went Monstrosity Recruiter and then just Rankles Pranked for 4 this turn after attacking with everybody. Probably would have been more damage the other way. Alright, that, I think, is not lethal. Yeah, it's not lethal, so we're pretty dead. Close game, though. Got them down to 2. Yeah, I think if we did the math on that, if I went Monstrosity Recruiter last turn, they would have had 2 blockers up instead of 1, and we wouldn't have been attacking with Witch and Rats. So we would have hit them for significantly less, but that would have opened us up to being able to attack again this turn, and then Rankle's Prank for an additional 4 post-combat, and maybe they would have done the math wrong there. Well, not that they would have done the math wrong, but maybe they would have blocked in a way that would put themselves down to 4 or less. Just assuming, like, well, there's not going to be any burn here. And we could have Rankles Pranked for burn out of nowhere and gotten there. That might have been the line. But it is worth noting, we would have attacked for significantly less because we would not have had the Witch and the Rat alongside the Recruiter this turn. If I did the other line, because then it would have just been Monstrosity and Recruiter, and they would have had 2 blockers up instead of 1. So, significantly less. And then we have less creatures left, because the 2 blockers would have traded into 2 things. So then we'd be attacking with maybe like 3 dorks this turn. I still think it probably would have been better, but I don't know if it would have been like guaranteed lethal. Guess I'd have to look back on the math on all of that, but pretty great run. 5-3, I'll absolutely take it. I will absolutely take it. We got exploded by some pretty powerful stuff, some great aggressive curves, and some Agatha's Cauldron style, just really grindy cards like that. Decadent Dragon as well, did a lot of damage to us there. Had a lot of fun with this format. This is seeming super sweet. There's a lot of cool things you can do with the roll tokens. The bargain mechanic's really fun. Gonna have to wrap my head around some things about the format, though, like the fact that black has enchantment removal, and the fact that bargain cannot sacrifice non-token creatures. It can only sacrifice artifacts, enchantments, and tokens. The part that makes bargain really confusing is when you're playing a deck that has some rat tokens and you get used to sacrificing those rat tokens to bargain cards. Like, when I've bargained away little rats that can't block, I get so used to sacking creatures to bargain that I'm like, yeah, I can just sack a creature to this. But it's like, no, I can only sack the rats because they're specifically tokens. So it has some mechanics that take a little while to get used to, some stuff like that. But I think the roll tokens are the coolest thing going on in this format. They are very unique to it. And the other stuff going on, the stuff that we've seen before, like the adventures, fantastic mechanic, great to have adventures back. And the lore, the flavor is super cool. Love seeing more fairy tale focused theming on all these cards. Very cool stuff from Wilds of Eldraine. But that's it. That is going to do it for today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and channel members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the videos. If you're interested in seeing some more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.